Hello and welcome to today's episode of Healing and Growing Hand in Hand podcast. Today, my guest is Ania Markovich, and she is going to share her journey. She actually does not have childhood abuse, but she actually has a journey that she wants to share. And while she's sharing her journey, we're going to kind of talk about limiting beliefs, the subconscious, changing the subconscious mind. That's what it was. Changing the subconscious mind, which is huge.
Yeah.
Huge. I'm excited about you talking about that. And then also you're going to discuss about PSYCH-K. So I'm excited about that as well. So welcome. And tell us,
Lisa.
Tell us about your journey. Tell us about you.
Oh gosh. Yeah. I think everybody has, their own journey and ups and downs. I mean, that's what life's about, right? Like that's what that's how we learn, I think, and I
grow.
know that, some people have bigger things to overcome. Some people don't. I've been very fortunate in my life. Had really great, have really great parents and really great, support system. And my childhood was pretty amazing. But
we still have trauma sometimes.
Yeah, we all have trauma. Like I don't think there's anybody out there that doesn't have some sort of trauma, right?
Right.
Even if it's, me having a sibling, at one point in my life, I thought that my parents loved my sister more. And then at another point, she thought that they loved me more. And trauma was created, right?
Right.
It's even true. Like they loved us equally, but, just kind of what you get in your head.
Exactly.
But, and we'll talk, like you said, we're going to talk about the subconscious beliefs a little bit later on. But from the young age, we get these programming, these thoughts, and we kind of focus on them, right? So as a kid, I felt that I was not good enough. Pretty much from day one, when I was born, I was supposed to be a boy. Back in the day, they didn't have ultrasounds. So it was a big surprise to my parents, and it was a shock. So I felt that energetically. I've done a lot of work, but I felt that rejection, that, shock from them. And that thought process has been following me for many, many years. And it showed up in my life a lot of times of being rejected, not being good enough, always wanting to please people and, kind of wanting them to accept me, but not really listening to, am I accepting myself,
Right? Big one.
So, yeah, it's these programs that we get, and it's these thoughts that we continue to focus on, and we have pretty much the same thoughts over and over every single day, whether we realize them or not. And that's what is creating our reality, right? So if as a kid you felt rejected, you felt not good enough, that's what you're going to be creating in your life, and you're going to be attracting more people that are going to be telling you, yes, you are correct. You are always going to be rejected. You aren't good enough.
So true.
Until you do something about it, right? So It's not about playing the victim. Like I said, we all have things that happen, and times where we have to kind of sit with what happened and, kind of analyze why, and, just sit in that uncomfortable feeling.
Yeah.
But also realize that is part of your story. That is not who you are.
It's not your identity.
Yeah.
So you are so right. That is something that happens so quickly, and you don't even realize it, and you make whatever that is your identity.
Exactly, because it's that thought that you're focusing on, right? Like I always compare it to, when you get a new car and you've never seen that car around, but you get a new car and you always see it everywhere, right? All of a sudden is driving that car. Well, it's the same thing with these thoughts.
Right.
You focus on that thought, and then it's, getting bigger and bigger, and it's, you're focusing on it every day.
And that's what you're going to see, right?
That's what you're bringing into your life,
Right.
And so that was kind of my story. Like I said, overall, really, really good childhood. But I had those, thoughts of not being good enough, of low self-esteem. We moved here to the States from Poland when I was 13, and I didn't speak the language, which talk about
I can't imagine that. I remember you telling me that, and I just thought, oh, 13 is hard enough to move, right?
Yeah.
Anywhere.
And they're not very nice at 13 to other
No.
kids, you know, and
No.
yeah, not speaking the language was really hard. I actually cried every day for 2 years when we moved here. And you know, my parents always said, like, if you want to go back, go. Like, you can live with your grandparents, and you know, if that's what you want. But that's not what I wanted. I wanted to be with my family. I just wanted to be there, you know, which I'm super grateful that they, you know, that we are here, that we've moved to the States. Obviously more opportunity and everything, but to a 13-year-old, that doesn't matter.
No.
And yeah, that came with its own challenges. And again, you know, feeling rejected and not accepted and not being good enough. Like I said, that my whole story, you know, kind of if like evolving, because like I said, if you have that programming, it's going to follow you.
Right.
It's just somewhere in the back of your head, and most of the time we're not aware of it. So then when I was about 18, 19, met a boyfriend that I moved out with who was, you know, pretty abusive. And I had to deal with that. And I think through all of my struggles, having a family and having a support system that was always there was such a huge component to my life. And I want to, you know, anybody that's listening and anybody who doesn't have that, because I know a lot of people don't have families or friends that, you know, that are supportive, that are understanding, go out and find that, you know, go find support groups, you know, people that you may not know, find people online, you know, even like if somebody wants to reach out to me, you know, on any social media, like find somebody that can be your rock. Because when you're down, it is so important. Because like I said, through my abusive relationship, my parents were very patient with me. You know, they're like, we're just, you know, my dad wanted to just go and steal me and lock me in the house.
Yeah.
I said no, like that's her journey. She has to learn through it. And I did, you know, finally I realized, you know, what was happening and how bad it was for me and everything. And then probably, gosh, 4 years ago, I went through a really big depression. And also like my family and my friends were the ones who pulled me through out of it, you know. And for the longest time I didn't want to admit to anybody that I had a problem, that, you know, anything was going on. And I honestly didn't have a reason for depression. And I know we've talked about it too, right? Like sometimes people think that like, oh, you know, if somebody passes away or, you know, something bad happens, people get depressed. I honestly didn't. I came back from a year of traveling around the world, which was my, you know, huge bucket list, amazing time, but it was a year of like a life high, right? Like just excitement every single day, you know. It was amazing, and I'm so glad I did it. But nobody tells you the withdrawal that you feel when you come back to reality. And I struggled with that so much. And just, you know, how do you go back to a routine when, you know, every day was just completely
exciting.
Yeah. So it took me about a year and a half to get out of my depression. And like I said, the support system was so amazing. And at that point, I already knew I had some of the tools that I have now. So when you're in it, it's hard to do it yourself, right? Like I like I said, I had other people helping me because I had the tools. But when you're in it, you can't utilize them. Your brain just kind of shuts down, you know, for certain things.
I mean, that's where your support system comes in, right? Because you're not in a place where you can really even be aware of the tools because you're just
oh my god,
place. And so you're
even having it, it's like, but I, you know, especially with depression, it's like I don't want to, like, I didn't want to do anything, you know. These days where like waking up and I had the thought of, okay, today I'm not going to kill myself. Like that was the big thing for that day, was to not commit suicide.
Oh my goodness. Oh
yeah. And like I said, I didn't, you know, I would get so mad at myself. I'm like, I don't have a reason to be mad. Like I'm healthy. I have great parents. I have support system. I have a job. Like I just did this amazing thing. Like, why is this happening to me? But I think now, you know, being on the other side of it, I think depression is sometimes maybe a wake-up call. You know, like you're doing something maybe you're playing it too small in your life, or you're going down the wrong path, and maybe you need to kind of detour. And I don't know, for me at least, that's what it felt like, that I kind of just needed to wake up to certain things and look at my life a little bit different. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of my story. And after I got out of my depression, I start studying the body even more than the mind, which I've done before. I study all the time because it's just fascinating what our mind can do for me, for us. And so now I try and help clients with their mindset, with the negative thinking, with their negative beliefs, the limiting beliefs, getting past traumas and neutralizing their brain. So, if you had big trauma happen to you, every time you think about it, even when you're not consciously thinking about it, your body goes into that stress response.
Yeah.
So neutralizing that, so it's an event rather than a trigger for you.
And you do get there, because I'm absolutely, in so many places in my life, I'm there from my abuses, from my childhood abuse, and you do get there. Like, I can share the stories now, and it does not physically at all have an effect on me.
Yeah.
At all. And it's almost like I'm telling someone else's story.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the goal, right?
Right. Yeah, to get there. And that's, and I in my podcast I had on Tuesday, I mentioned, I don't feel like you ever really heal completely, but you can certainly get to a point where you can manage stuff, and in that, I mean, I don't mean like, oh, you're always going to struggle. It's just that in the healing part for me, like I said, the events don't affect me like they used to. And now, at least when I'm triggered, which doesn't happen near as often, my self-awareness makes me aware of, oh, okay, I'm being triggered, and so I need to manage this. And now, that is empowering.
Yes. And now, like, because you're not going into that like stress response, you can actually figure out, okay, how do I deal with this? Right. Like, I have all these tools now. Like, how do I go from like dealing with this? I'm getting triggered. This is what I need to do, whether it's breath or, whatever, rather than going straight to that stress response. And then you're just pretty much locked out of your brain and you can't do anything.
And it's, I remember when I think back when I used to be triggered and I, excuse me, and I wouldn't even be aware of it. It's actually kind of a scary place to be, because you don't feel at all in control. You don't feel at all in control. And one of the things, and I've heard this and I've actually used this, is first being aware of the trigger, right? But then take a pause.
Yeah.
So tell me, what were the tools that you used? You had family support helping you get out of depression, right? And you had some tools that they were reminding you of that you used. And so what were some of the tools that you did use to help you get out of your depression?
Oh, I think, there were so many things, right? It's not like just one thing, but breath work, meditation, just getting outside and, being out in the nature. I love connecting with the nature. And I think it's very powerful.
Fresh air and sunshine, right?
Yes. So that was really big for me. I did
moving too, right? The exercise of moving is really good for your body, right?
Yeah. Even if it's, like I said, if it's like going for a faster walk or lifting some weights, it doesn't have to be crazy workout.
No.
And that was my thing too, that on the days where like it was struggle to be alive, I allowed my body to just kind of sleep and just relax and be in that. And I would like journal, but like take it easy and kind of honor that feeling. But then on the days where I was like, oh, I feel a little bit better, like, okay, so I'm going to go on a walk because I'm feeling better. So I wasn't trying to push my body too much, right? Where it's like, okay, no, I got to, almost like don't be in denial about it either, right? Like honor your body, honor what's happening, kind of listen. I'm such a huge believer, and I teach a lot of my clients, whether it's muscle testing or just ways to get in tune with your body, because depression is a sign that your body's trying to tell you something.
Right. Something's off. Something is off.
So, and it's different for everybody. So
Right.
you can figure out what it is for you that your body is trying to tell you, that it's trying to teach you, and listen to its needs. Right. So yeah. So I did tapping, like EFT tapping. I did theta healing sessions. Gosh, I don't even remember. It was a while ago. Yeah, just like even other like energy work.
Right.
Kind of clear that. I never took antidepressants. Not that I'm against them, but I was so set. I'm like, I know I can, get past
Yeah.
it on my own. And yeah, little by little, just kind of got better. Like I said, just implementing these little things,
Little steps, right?
little steps. And yeah, allowing myself that even if it's today's a good day and then the next 2 days might not be so great, allowing myself to do that instead of like, being hard on myself, right?
Right. Because and the thing is too, this happens in life, but I would imagine much more when you're depressed. It's easy to get overwhelmed, right? It's
Yeah.
and everything can look really big and overwhelming. And I have found that in my life, when I feel that being overwhelmed, I can shut down. Well, I'm just not going to do anything. And what I've learned to do, and this is exactly what it sounds like you've done, is you just take the baby steps. First, you listen to your body, which is so important. And your body's telling you today, yeah, I've got the energy to go for a nice long walk, right?
Yeah.
But you're taking baby steps. You don't have to conquer the whole thing at once, and you're not going to be able to. So don't even try. So just taking the baby steps. And it sounds exactly like what you did. And although it took you some time, look where you are. It sounds like you have a real solid foundation of where you are, and you worked yourself out of this, and now you're able to help others with it.
For sure. Yeah. And yeah, exactly like what you're saying, like take the baby steps. Like if today you're having a hard day and brushing your teeth is your win, great, amazing.
Yep.
But give yourself credit for that instead of going into that thinking of, oh, I'm failing, or I'm miserable because I didn't do my to-do list. Well, tomorrow may be better. So tomorrow maybe you can tackle some of these things.
Right. But giving yourself a lot of grace.
Yeah,
That was
gratitude. Like gratitude journal was one of the bigger things too that I was doing. Every day writing even 2 or 3 things that you're grateful for, even if they feel forced, right? Like even if like today feels like I can't be grateful for anything. Well, you know what? I have a bed. I
woke up today.
Yes, I have air conditioning. I have a roof over my head. Like even if they feel so like fake almost, because
right doesn't feel
like,
real,
like faking it, but keep doing them because eventually they will get like, oh my gosh, yes, like I am actually like feeling the gratitude within, right?
and in the mindset, this is what I thought of. What you're concentrating on too, you physically feel, right? What you're focusing on is what you're going to feel. So if you're waking up and you're being really hard on yourself, that's not going to feel good. And that is not going to give you energy to get better, right? And so, and it's real easy to go there and stay there. And the gratitude thing is huge.
Yeah.
That is huge, because that will help take you out of that funk as well.
Yeah.
Even
and
if it's,
also,
yes, today I brushed my teeth, like you said, today I brushed my teeth. Yay, because yesterday I didn't.
Yeah, exactly. And I think too, kind of see your surroundings, like, right? Like if you're depressed and your friends are kind of toxic and they're all kind of depressed, maybe time to pull back, right? Maybe it's time to find new friends or new circle, or, see the shows that you're watching, the things that
you're listening to.
Right? Because all that has an impact, like especially the things that we listen to right before bed. Like that's why they say don't get on your phone right before bed, because that's what goes into your subconscious, and that's what kind of playing all night in your head. So do a little meditation before bed, or like breathing, watch something that makes you feel good, right? Like so that's huge. So then you wake up and you go to sleep with like good feelings, right? And even if it's just for those 2 moments before bed and when you wake up. But that, it's going to extend, right? That 5 minutes is going to become 10 minutes. It's going to become half an hour, and you're going to
become your life. Right. So tell us about the PSYCH-K. I'm really curious about that.
Oh my gosh. It's just such an amazing modality. I've learned about it 2.5 years ago. I do a lot of different modalities, and I felt at one point that I was missing something. Like a lot of my clients, we were finding out like what was happening, what are the thoughts that they were having, like the issues that were going on, but I didn't have the tools to help them, kind of step over and get onto the other side. And so, coincidentally, stumbled upon PSYCH-K, and it honestly changed my life. So PSYCH-K is about changing your subconscious mind. So it's those programmings that we were talking about, right? Usually that we get as a kid, is to change those. Because I don't know how about you, but I've done affirmations and I've done vision boards so many times, and they never work.
No.
Maybe, one thing here or there changed, but it didn't work. And I actually just found out that you need to say an affirmation over 10,000 times for it to reprogram your brain. I don't have that kind of time. I don't know. I don't know about you.
I don't have enough time to get all my affirmations in 10,000 times each.
Right. And then, about all the limiting beliefs that are,
right,
causing that affirmation not to come true.
Right.
PSYCH-K is a super quick way to reprogram your brain. Dr. Bruce Lipton talks about it, and Rob Williams is the one who actually founded PSYCH-K.
So before you explain that, explain to us about the difference between the subconscious and the conscious mind, because there's a big difference between that. And so can you explain that?
So conscious mind is what you're aware of constantly, right? And think of it like as a small memory bank, right? Like it's the things that you're doing daily and the thoughts that you're aware of having. Where the subconscious mind is, think of like the big processor in a like back room, right? Like you have your work computer, but then all the memory and stuff goes to that big giant memory bank, and that's the cloud. That would be your subconscious brain, and a lot of stuff is happening there, and all the things that you're not aware of but are happening, right? Like how many times we, even recently I was driving somewhere and I didn't realize this building that I drive past every day, it was blue, and I'm like, that hasn't been there before. And I'm like, it has, I just haven't paid attention to it, right? But your subconscious knows that, just your conscious mind, doesn't pay attention.
Became aware.
Other things there. So your subconscious brain has stored all these belief systems, all these all these thoughts are running from the subconscious brain. So when you're saying affirmations, I'm not saying affirmations are bad,
right?
But all conscious brain activities. So if let's say you have an affirmation, is there an affirmation that you're working on right now?
No, not that I could think of.
Okay.
It's going to be an awesome podcast. That's what it's going to be, an awesome podcast.
Right. Yeah. So let's say, like I have a successful podcast, right? Like that is your affirmation, and it's a great affirmation. But what if as a child you were told that you don't deserve to be successful, or that you are not worthy of success,
right?
Or that success somehow is scary, right? Or having money is not safe. Like those are all real things that whether we're told or we see as kids, and they get stored back there. So you can say, I have a successful podcast, but your subconscious is like, wait, but we don't deserve, and it's not safe for us, and we're not worthy of this. So it's not going to go anywhere, because it almost like the wires just don't connect, right?
Right.
Like, if something's not safe for me, your body's not going to let you do it.
Do you think that this is where the self-sabotage comes in?
Yeah.
Is that like the little?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So figuring out what kind of stops you, right? Like, well, one can be like, what stops you from achieving these things? Because like you're saying, we can self-sabotage ourselves, or just the limiting beliefs that we were told as kids. And it's super easy because we just muscle test what your subconscious believes, or it doesn't. So, we could test for you. I have a successful podcast. If we get a weak response, that means your subconscious brain doesn't believe in it, and we can balance out just that statement. And I usually like to go in and kind of like I said, pick at other things. It's like, okay, do I deserve to be successful? Again, am I worthy of success? Is it safe for me to be successful? Because all these things play such a big role,
yes,
in our life. And so I kind of go and check all these other things. And then a lot of times during the session, during the balancing, people just feel this weight almost lifted off.
a release.
Yes. And, it's just like, they're like, I don't know. I can't tell what it is, but it's like, I feel different, right?
Yeah.
Like, because your brain is finally aligning with what you want, right? Like, if one side of your brain is like, oh, I want to be successful, and the other one's like, no, success is hard, or you don't deserve success. So you're constantly pulling. There's constant fight within you.
Interesting.
So when you're aligning them, and that's where like the right and left brain hemisphere go, because that's what you're balancing as well. It's the subconscious and conscious, but also the right and left hemisphere. And then there's synchronicity,
Synchronicity, yes.
Yeah, in that. And going back to trauma, that's what happens when we go through a traumatic event, is your brain gets off balance, right? And when we get triggered, you're either really emotional, even though logically I'm safe, but emotionally
Yes.
you're just,
yes, that is a perfect, that's exactly what I said. When those triggers,
right? I am being
logic
triggered,
is out the window.
no logic whatsoever. Or the other way happens, right? Where emotionally, like, it's fine, but logically you're just, overthinking and all that.
Yeah.
So sitting down and balancing out that brain, even with a specific event, because we can do it with an affirmation or we can do it with events, and balancing out that brain with that event to make it, okay, we'll get logic and emotion talking
and making
sense.
sense.
It makes sense. And then it's clear. And then it just becomes something that happened. Like you were saying, it's just an event that happened to me. I don't have an emotional or illogical, response
right
with that.
Right. It's so freeing. And I tell you, like, when I catch the triggers, it's just, there's no logic, it doesn't make any sense. And usually the result of it is to do something harmful to myself.
Yeah.
Some kind of self-sabotage, something that's not going to be in my best interest.
Well, but that's usually where it comes, that like not deserving or not being worthy. Right?
Yeah. Right.
Like so usually when whatever affirmations I deal with, like I said, it's that not safe, not deserving, or not being worthy. Like those three things, I feel like we all have some kind of playlist in the back that, has one of those going on.
Yep.
To me,
Absolutely.
it was safety, even though, like I said, I didn't have a bad childhood, but there's certain things that, after I analyzed it, that my parents did or my grandparents did that I've noticed that made me feel unsafe, right? Or just certain things that they would say, like, I remember this instant where I wanted a toy when I was younger. My mom was like, we don't have money right now. Like, we're not going to,
Yes.
Not that we didn't have money, but that's something that she said. And it got programmed in my head. Oh my gosh, we don't have money.
Yes.
I'm freaking out.
Yes. I had something similar. I remember one time I asked my mom, well, can we buy that? And she says, yeah, we don't have any money in the bank. She said the same thing, or we don't have the money for that. And I'm like, well, just write a check. And she goes, I can't do that. We don't. And then I kind of like, what do you, that was my first idea of, money just doesn't come pouring in. And then, there was that's where my whole fear of money started.
Yeah. And as a parent, I'm sure many parents have done that, right? And it's not
sure.
Like you're trying to terrify your kid.
Right. You're not sitting there thinking that's going to send them down
the wrong
way.
Yeah. But we do these things, and to our kids all the time. We say these little things, and then there's some things stick more than others, and there's no saying what's going to stick with you. And I think a lot of times, they say trauma isn't what happened to you, it's how you responded to it.
Correct.
And
Yes.
that's exactly what it is. Like, I was
Yes.
traumatized that we didn't have money, even though it wasn't not true.
Right. It was just her answer, and yet it was traumatic.
So
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 funny.
yeah, so Psyche, like I said, has helped me calm my brain down, that mind chatter, not having those self-sabotaging beliefs, and those like limiting
Actions.
beliefs. And yes, and I still, stuff still pops up for me, but
Sure.
now I know, like, okay, I'm gonna catch it, and
Right.
I'm gonna, balance it out. So usually after the first session that somebody has with me, that they know already like how it works, then I tell them, like, okay, so before your next session, try and be mindful of the thoughts that you're having and
Mm-hmm.
write them down. So then they'll come with a list, like, okay, these are the thoughts, the negative thoughts that I've had, in the last couple of weeks. What can we do about them? Because, like I said, we have, I think they say about 60,000 thoughts a day. Obviously, you're not going to catch all of them, but they're all repeating every day,
Right.
pretty much.
Right.
So you
Yeah.
can eventually catch most of them and, like I said, neutralize them, and you switch them to something that is positive, that is good for you,
Right. That
instead of
aligns
saying,
with everything.
I can't, or I'm sick, just I can, and I am healthy. And that's another thing too, is people, will come like, well, this is, I don't want this. And I ask them, well, what do you want
Ah,
instead? And they have no clue. They have no clue what they want instead, because they're so focused on the negative.
yes.
Well, I don't want to be, I don't want to be sick. Okay, but you're still focusing on
Being
sickness,
sick.
right? Like, focus on I am healthy rather than I am sick.
Right.
And I get it. Like, there's so much programming, like I said, with, just our upbringing and TV
Yeah.
and music and everything, that we are so focused on the negative side. I think it was Brene Brown who, at one of her talks, said, imagine you see a movie and you see a car and it's Christmas and it's happy family is all in the car and they're all singing and they're driving on the road, but it's snowing outside, right? And they're singing and everything happens. What's the next scene? What in your mind happens next?
Oh, what happens next?
Yeah.
I gotta think of something positive. It's
Well,
like
but see, does your mind go negative?
it kind of went blank, but yeah, yeah, because yes, you know what? Actually, a car crash came to mind.
Yep, that was exactly my thing. And
Oh
she
my
said, I
God.
think like 80, 85, I think percent, or I can't remember the percentage, but she said most of us think car crash. Why
I
is
didn't
it
want to
that
think that.
why is it that when there's like all these happy moments that we have, we're waiting for something bad to happen, right?
Yeah, the rug to
We're
get pulled out.
expecting, and I mean, but that's what movies are, right? Like, if it was just
Yeah.
a happy movie, like, they don't make money, right? Like, you need
Right.
action, you need things happening. But this is what we get programmed with in
Right.
life, that even when good things are happening in your life, you're expecting the bad to come right next. After.
Right. And that is something I've really had to work on as well. And if I don't manage it, or if I'm really tired or not feeling real great, those thoughts will come in, and I do have to make a conscious effort not to meditate on them.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is meditating on them.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Wow, that's interesting. So how many sessions, like, how does it work? If someone is interested in this, I mean, how would it work for, if they could contact you, and then how does that work?
So I do sessions online, as well as in person. But yeah, we connect, and then, just kind of first just chat. Like, okay, what is it that you want to achieve? What is it that, is going on in your life? It could be health related, it could be, money related, relationships,
Mhm.
whatever, like, sky's the limit, right? Or you're just
Right.
like, I'm struggling with this or that. And we kind of have a chat. Like I said, I just write stuff down, kind of what someone's telling me. And then usually, like, okay, these are the things that you're kind of telling me. What do you want instead? And then we figure out these affirmations, and then we go ahead and, balance them out. And as we're balancing, a lot of people have more stuff come up, right? Like,
Right.
oh, I'm sitting in this balance about, I have a successful podcast, and this thought of, like, I don't deserve comes up, or this idea of, when I was a little kid, my mom told me, I'm a piece of shit, or, something. So
Right.
then we kind of go deeper and deeper. And
Right.
honestly, after the first session, like, you just feel so much different. Like,
I'm sure that from the very beginning,
cry or just feel exhausted, because sometimes just you need to
it's
go to sleep
draining.
just to relax because your nervous system is just overwhelmed with everything
Yeah.
that happened. Or you're just super energized because you're just like, oh my gosh, I'm finally free from
Yeah.
BS stories that I've been telling myself, right?
Yeah. Those stories.
Yeah, and then it's not like you need X amount of sessions to whatever.
Right.
I have a package of 5 sessions, but it's good for a year. So it's not like, oh, you need, 5 once a week or something. I usually tell people after first session, take about 2 weeks, 2-3 weeks
Mhm.
to see the changes that are happening in your life. And it's good to journal, because that another thing that's amazing is the changes happen so fast that once we end the session, you are a completely different person. Like, that old version of you doesn't exist anymore. And
Right.
people don't even realize
Uh,
that they used to be somebody else, that they used to, we're not able to do certain things, like, because
Mhm.
that's your new reality. You already stepped into it. And there's homework, there's like action steps that you have to do for your conscious brain to kind of get kick started.
Right.
Um, but honestly, like, if you get 5 sessions, that you will see a huge, huge difference. Even like I said, even with one, um, yeah, I'm amazed because I get so excited with all my clients. I'm always like, please tell me what happened, because, like, even though I
Oh,
know it works and I've done it for so many times, even with my life, but everybody else, but I get so excited because, I mean, so many lives have been changed. I mean, I had one guy who came in, worked for his family. He's like, I haven't gotten a raise. I don't know what to do, like, not getting along, with my father and my brother. After one session, like 3 days after, he's like, I got a raise, and my dad, like, actually told me how proud of me he is. And
oh,
it's just years of, like, not hearing that, right? So
oh. I know
yeah,
there's nothing better than seeing people heal and seeing people grow, right?
yeah,
It's awesome. Whether you're helping them or someone else, it's just wonderful.
exactly. And that's the thing. It's like, I don't think there's one way. Like, for me, I
Right.
found PSYCH-K and I love it, but there's so many different ways that you can do it.
Right.
You can, I used to listen to Joe Dispenza a lot, and do his meditations. I love, like, his meditations, but they take forever. I want quick results. Not that, again, with what I'm doing, I'm still, like, I still do affirmations, I still meditate, I still do vision boards, but they're now, the limiting beliefs aren't there to, hold these things back.
Right. So now the stuff is actually able to come true
Yeah,
because there's
exactly.
no block there stopping it.
Exactly.
So that's why, yeah, you definitely want to do a vision board now.
Yeah,
Careful.
exactly. Right. 'Cause it's like, now it's going to come true. Now that you're worthy and you deserve
Right.
things, and that you can, achieve them, rather than just it being a thing that, you put on there. And
I hope it happens. I
yeah,
hope
right.
it
I hope.
happens. Yeah.
Well, and that's why, like, the affirmations that you do with Psyche, they're positive, and they're in the present moment. And I usually,
Right.
after the session, I send them to people because a lot of my clients like to repeat them, make them their affirmations until the next time, and then, just kind of
Right.
go with that. So
Well, that is really cool. That
yeah,
is really cool. I'm gonna look into that some more because I did actually after our first conversation, I did look it up and I was like, this is interesting. So I'm gonna look into it more because I hadn't heard about it before.
yeah. Would you want to try it?
Right now?
Yeah.
Okay, sure. Okay.
All right. So, is there an affirmation that you would want to do, or is there like a traumatic event that still kind of bothers you, that you still get triggered for?
Um, well, yeah, the trigger that I had recently was Yeah, that's interesting. So I got hurt, right? And nobody made me believe this, but the thoughts that came up and the way I reacted was I didn't feel like anybody believed me, because that was something that happened in my childhood where I would get hurt and I wasn't believed.
Mhm.
And so for some reason, it was almost like a perfect storm that caused this to come up and so my reaction to it, which I didn't do, was to ignore the injury and just, well, I'll just let it go. It's no big deal. When it was something significant enough that it needed medical attention.
Okay. So if you had to come up with an affirmation, what would it be? Like that I believe myself or I trust myself? Obviously, so it could be you, it could be others, right? Like others trust me or I trust myself and others trust me.
I trust myself, and what the affirmation that kind of comes to mind, I don't know how to put it in words, is I need to take care of myself. I'm going to take care of myself, so that's kind of what comes up, is because the opposite was what I wanted to do, but I'm not sure how to put that into words.
I mean, it could be I take care of myself.
I take care of myself. I'm going to take care of myself. Yes.
Okay. So what I'm going to do, just give me a second. And with Psyche, I'm going to kind of tap into your energy. So
Okay.
anytime I do that, I always ask for permission. So, it's not unsafe. We always ask permission from your higher self. Um, so, and anytime, like if somebody has an ill intent, it won't let me tap in.
Ah.
Or so like that's kind of like a fail safe
Mm-hmm.
thing. So just because some like I always thought I'm like, that's weird. I don't want people tapping into my energy, right? Like, because you don't know what they're gonna do.
You're right.
But yeah, you have to have like pretty much no intention and just kind of, just positive energy. So just give me a
Mm-hmm.
second. I'm gonna tap into your energy, and then
Okay.
I'm gonna muscle test on myself as just what that statement does for you, whether
Ah.
your subconscious believes it or not.
Okay.
So okay. And so the statement, what was the statement again?
The negative statement.
No, the positive.
Oh, the positive. Oh,
Trust
I'm going to take care of myself.
I take care of myself.
I
So
take
that
care
should
of
be
myself.
not going to, we're doing it now.
Okay, I take care of myself.
All right. So what
Yes.
I'm going to have you do is keep your head straight, but put your eyes 45 degrees down. Okay. And then say this statement out loud.
I take care of myself.
Okay. Your subconscious does not believe that statement.
I can tell. I can tell myself.
Okay. But it's okay. This is why, we're going to work
This is
on it.
great.
Okay. And then again, I test whether we have permission to test that statement. You don't have to look at it down anymore.
Okay.
Because sometimes we when we don't get permission is if the concept is too big or if it's just not the right time for you to deal with that, right? A lot of times it's just too big of an idea. A lot of times those smaller steps comes of like, oh, I deserve to take care of myself or
Right.
worthy, like all these little things. But we got permission, so we're good. All right. So now what I'm gonna have you do is you're gonna cross your ankles and the left leg is gonna be on top.
Right.
And then you're gonna cross your arms where your left arm's on top.
Okay.
And you're gonna go like that. Yep. And you can put them down or you can flip them like that. Whichever one is
That's more comfortable.
Yeah, I like this. This feels like a hug.
It does. Yeah. It's more comfortable.
So I'm gonna have you close your eyes and silently keep repeating to yourself the statement, I take care of myself, until you sense a physical, emotional, or any kind of change, which will be your indication that the process is complete. And then you can open your eyes. Take all the time you need.
Hey.
You okay?
Yeah.
All right, so unlock your arms and legs. And just for about 10 seconds, you're touching each fingertip with eyes open. Just for about 10 seconds, just locking in the change. You can release it when you're ready. Okay, now 1 second. Look down 45 degrees again and say the statement out loud one more time.
I take care of myself.
And your subconscious tests strong, which means that your subconscious believes it now. And now we celebrate.
And I could tell it by my tone. I knew when I heard it the first time. I could tell that, oh, that's not convincing. Didn't convince me.
How did it feel being in that posture?
It felt good. It did feel like a hug.
Yeah.
It did. And that was huge. That's big for me. And I think that's because I am right now working with the little Lisa and the teenage Lisa. So that's why it felt good.
Yeah. I felt a little resistant in the beginning. I don't know if you felt resistance when you first went into it. I did. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. And you know, and at first, like, a lot of thoughts were going through my head, because all the things that I don't do to take care of myself, like, zip through my mind.
Yeah.
And I had to stop and just get those thoughts out. So that's probably why there was that resistance in the beginning.
So now the homework is you have to do something within the next 48 hours that you will let your conscious brain know that you do take care of yourself.
Easy. I can do that. I can definitely do that.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be anything big, you know, whether it's you know, going on a walk, right? Like, just whatever you kind of been putting off or anything, just take care of yourself. What is a bubble bath, right? Like, it doesn't have to be anything crazy.
Go swim in my pool.
Yeah, there you go.
I haven't been doing that enough. I need to do that more.
And it's that simple to reprogram your subconscious brain.
Interesting. I love it. I love it. Well, I won't have that problem anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not taking care of myself. I won't get into the story because it was just really interesting. It was a real eye opener for me
But that's awesome that you saw it, right? That you were aware enough that, like, oh my gosh, this is a trigger and this is what it's bringing up from, like, the past, right? Like, that's huge when you know that only, like, I've seen it, only people that have healed or have, you know, kind of are on the healing journey are able to do that. Because when you're still in it, you can't see anything. There's no, you know, like we were saying, like, no rationality to anything.
No, and
past that.
And the feeling I would get is, like, I would feel hopeless, because all I would see is, the best description I can ever come up with is just this huge brick wall in front of me. And I knew on the other side of that was something good, but I just didn't know how to get to the other side of that. That was so hard, you know?
Oh yeah, for sure. Because you just kind of freeze, you know, in that moment, and
it shuts you down. It does. It shuts you down.
And sometimes it happens in sessions too, when we're kind of digging, right? Because that's what we're doing during the session. Like, okay, what else, you know, is kind of like blocking you or stopping you from, like, living your best life. And I know when we get to something super juicy, because people won't be able to, like, I know you're asking me a question and I can't think.
Yeah, there's no answer.
Like, I don't even know. And I'm like, all right, sit with it for a little bit, and then I'll ask some kind of questions around it, and we'll get to it. But yeah, usually when it's just like, my mind just goes blank, and I'm like, okay, that means we're getting to something real.
We're getting something. That is so frustrating. It's so frustrating. So it's awesome that you can help bring that out, and that is frustrating. I can tell you.
Yeah, and trust me, I still get like that sometimes. There's still something that comes up, and then, you know, I'll call one of my friends that does PSYCH-K as well, and I'm like, hey, can you just work with me, because I hit a block, and because you can't ask yourself these questions, because your brain just got, you know, hijacked you.
Yeah, true.
So you need somebody else to kind of, you know, unblock that, you know, and then once they're like, okay, this is what's happening, this is what I'm seeing, this is what you're saying, I'm like, okay, now I know how to balance it myself. but I just needed that help, somebody redirecting me, right?
Right. So see, we're all on this journey.
Yeah,
We're
and
all on this
it's like it's a
journey.
never-ending journey, right? Like you, again, it goes back to the gratitude. Give
Right.
yourself, be grateful for how far you've come, right? And
Mhm.
for the baby steps that you've taken. Like I'm nowhere near where I want to be, but I'm so happy that I'm not where I used to be, right?
Exactly.
Like
Exactly.
having this information now and being able to help other people. And I'm still constantly learning from my clients. Like clients will come and
Yeah.
affirmations will come up with them. I'm like, oh, that's a good one. I'm gonna check that.
Yeah. And it makes you work through stuff too, right? Because it can bring
All the
stuff
time.
up in you. Same thing that would happen with me is, when I would do any kind of coaching or when I was doing the childhood abuse healing workshop and stuff would come up, every time I was getting ready or as I was going through it. But it was always good. It was always growing stuff. But sometimes it's not fun.
True. And I think emotions are like it's like an onion, right? Like you're just peeling
Yes.
back layers, peeling back layers.
Right.
And that, that programming might always be there, that thought or that traumatic experience.
Mm-hmm.
But it, like you were saying earlier, it doesn't have that big of an impact on you anymore. It's,
No.
you might just notice like, oh, it kind of gives you like a little, weird feeling,
Yeah.
but then you move on, right? Instead
Right.
of freezing up and like being in that, traumatic state again
Mm-hmm.
for, days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And rethinking. Oh, the overthinking. It's dangerous.
Yeah.
So tell everybody how they can reach out to you, because I'm hoping that you're going to get lots of clients that you're going to be able to help.
Yeah, like I said, I love doing this, so I get always excited when people come to me with different things. So I have a website. It's called Intuitive Ania Markiewicz. First name is Ania, last name is Markiewiczz. I know it's a mouthful.
It is.
And honestly, that's my handle for everything. I have a Facebook page and I have an Instagram, and I have a YouTube channel, all with that name. But yeah, I mean, just going on my website has the links for everything else. So.
Right. And we'll have all your information as well, so people can get in touch with you as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing PSYCH-K with us. It was really interesting in your journey and your healing journey and your growing journey. It's wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. And I think, I'm sure there's more stuff that's going to come up in my life and, more things that I'm going to have to deal with, but having the tools
Yeah.
and having healed from certain things and knowing that you can get past certain things is huge. So
Yeah.
I think, just for anybody that's listening, if you're struggling and you don't see a way out, just hold on,
Mhm.
and reach out to people, there's always a way. Just don't give up. Because I feel like, we're all here, we're all meant to be here.
Mhm.
The universe doesn't make mistakes. So if you're
No.
here, you're meant to be here. And I feel like maybe if you overcome it, then you can share your story and you can help other people, right?
Exactly. Actually, pay it forward. Yes.
Exactly.
For sure.
I mean,
Yeah.
you're doing such a great work, right? Showing your thing, but I'm sure, a couple of years ago, this was probably the craziest idea, right? Because you were not able to talk about it, right? Like your trauma thing.
No, I didn't talk about it. That's what I realized. I didn't talk about it. I didn't share it, and so now I am. And there was so much shame, I think, that held that down, but not anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's like I said, it's amazing to see people that have gone through certain things that, and seeing them on the other side. So
yeah, I've seen some stories, I've heard some stories, and there's some stories on this podcast that it's pretty horrific what people have been through, and they came out of it. They're a changed person, of course, because this stuff changes you, but what they've done with their life is amazing. And they do have a lot of success in their life, and they do have healing, and they do have growth, and they can live a fulfilled life.
Yeah.
I call it beauty from ashes. We can.
I love that.
Yeah, that's a scripture, actually. I know it's one of my, I always have it in my head, beauty from ashes. And that's what we're doing. So thank you again.
Thank you for having me.